Hey friends, what's up? Phillip here with Points of Phillip, and I'm here to talk to you about, well, it finally happened. The big news that we've been expecting for weeks and what feels like months. Chase has finally revealed the new details of the new Chase Sapphire Reserve and the new Chase Sapphire Business Reserve. And so we're going to talk about all the changes and kind of talk about kind of the sweet spots, the bad things, what's going on. But before we do that, I want to ask you guys to like and subscribe. If you haven't noticed, I'm really close to hitting 1,000 subscribers, and I'd really like to hit that threshold. And honestly, doing that would really help me out, and I really appreciate it. And then also, if you are someone who has been a subscriber, I want to thank you for your support. It really means a lot to me that you're a part of this community. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's get into the top line. So the top lines here, the annual fee has changed from $550 to $795. And now there's also going to be an annual fee for authorized users of $195 each year as well. So first off, that is a huge difference, right? To go from $550 to $995 or $795 is a pretty big deal, right? So what are you getting for that change? Now, Chase is claiming thousands of dollars of benefits. Let's get into what's actually useful for us. So before we get into everything, let's get into the multipliers. So the multipliers here are going to be 8 points per dollar on Chase travel for flights, hotels, rental cars, cruises, activities, and tours. And so that's 6 distinct callouts on that point multiplier. So that's going to be 8 points per dollar on kind of a wide range of things as long as you do those things in Chase's portal. And so these cruises could be interesting. The tours is interesting too, because that's kind of key. We're going to see how comprehensive that is about is it easy to cancel tours? Is it easy to is it just as easy as Viator is or something like that with respect to booking some of these tours? So we'll have to see what that looks like. Now, there's also going to be 4 points per dollar when you book directly with a hotel or an airline. And so that's kind of going to be interesting because you're going to decide whether or not if you're booking through a hotel directly, do you want to use that hotel's credit card or do you want to use this new Chase Sapphire Reserve to get those multipliers? That's going to be really interesting. All right. Now, there's also going to be 3 points per dollar on dining and then 1 point per dollar on everything else. And so the one thing that's missing, and that probably is going to be a big deal to some people, is that 3 points per dollar for unlimited travel is going away. It is kaput. Now, it's very clear what they're trying to do is trying to get people to move to the Chase travel portal to get that 8 points per dollar. And so, they're really trying to kind of bring everything in house, and kind of that seems to be the theme of the card. We're going to return to that idea multiple times throughout this video. So now that we have the multipliers out of the way, let's take a look at the travel multipliers. So this travel multiplier here is interesting because essentially what this means is, currently with the Chase Sapphire Reserve, you can redeem your points for 1.5x value. And so usually 1.5 cents per point. Now, so first of all, immediately that's going away. But what's going to happen is Chase is going to have some kind of hotels and with the edit collection can be eligible for 2 points per dollar. And you also are, 2 cents per dollar, 2 cents per point rather, sorry. And then we also have where some premium airline cabins are redeemable for 2 cents per point as well. Now, that may not be really all that worthwhile to you, just because the real kicker, the real reason why people like the 1.5 cents per point with the old travel portal was that it was an easy way to hack points and get those values on economy fares or things like that. And so that doesn't really seem to be the case anymore. And so you can get those 2 points per dollar or 2 cents per point on, through the travel portal as long as it's on premium cabins. But what that means is that you're giving up what you could get if you just transferred those points to that provider, which could often be much higher than that 2 cents per point. So I don't know how valuable or how useful that's going to be, but it's there. Now, one thing that is nice on Chase's website, they say that your current points that you've earned on your card can be redeemed for 1.5 cents per point up and through, I think, October 26th. And so if you have a lot of points that you want to book, you probably should go ahead and do that right now, because that's really what's going to be kind of a big deal for you if you're kind of into that travel portal booking. All right, so we talked about the multipliers, we talked about the travel multipliers. Now let's go ahead and get into the marathon of credits. And well, there's a lot of them. So the first one here on the list is $250 in combined Apple TV Plus and Apple Music subscription credits. And so $250 for Apple Music and Apple TV Plus, can be worthwhile. I actually haven't paid for Apple TV Plus because, well, anytime I want to watch it, I look for like a free offer somewhere and I just get it through there. So I really don't know if I'd value that. We do use Apple Music, so we probably would get something like that, which would be nice. But anyway, they're saying $250 in value. And then there's a $300 StubHub credit. Now this StubHub credit is $150 twice annually. And so that is pretty interesting. We'll see how wide open that is. It appears that if you just book through StubHub, you get that credit. We'll see if that changes and how it actually gets implemented. All right, now let's take a look at the Lyft credits. So this is $120 in Lyft credits, and that's $10 monthly, plus you earn 5 points per dollar on Lyft through September 30th of 2027. So that does have a deadline, but it's kind of far in the future, so we could get some decent use out of that if we're using Lyft. So this is the current benefit, and so that's going to be see what happens. That's $10 a month essentially. So let's take a look at $300 DoorDash credits and 1 year free Dash Pass. So you get free Dash Pass, which is helpful, and then you get up to $25 monthly in fees. Now it's $5 each month for restaurant delivery, and then $10 twice each month for say like regular retail shopping or groceries or something like that. So you got to do a little bit of work in order to get that kind of credit out of it. Now you also get a $120 Peloton membership credit. That's $10 a month. I wouldn't care about that. So it is whatever you think it's worth. Now, there's also some other things that I want to talk to you about too. So let's take a look at the major credits. So the major credits here, in addition to the $300 StubHub credit, there's going to be a $500 credit for edit stays. Now it's going to be $250 every 6 months. And it seems like that's some of the properties you need to actually pay for 2 nights, and some of these properties are really, really expensive. And so it's questionable if this would actually be, if you're someone who does do highline stays at some hotels, then this could definitely be easy to use for you. But it definitely feels like for some people, maybe it might be a stretch to actually get benefits from that particular credit. Now, some of the good news though is that the original $300 travel credit, which is completely wide open, is here to stay. And so for airfare fees, for travel incidentals, for things like that, this $300 airfare credit is there, right? So if you get the StubHub credit, if you get the edit credit, if you get the travel credit, we're already pretty close to getting really great value from it. However, there's also a dining credit that I want to talk to you about too. So this is a $300 annual dining credit, and this is $150 in statement credits every 6 months, right? So January to June, July through December. And this is basically for dining at restaurants that are part of the Chase Sapphire Reserve Exclusive Tables program. Now, this Exclusive Tables program is only available if you, first of all, have the card, and then you add your card to Open Table, then you get access to this preferred list. Now, I do have the Ritz-Carlton card, and I added that to the Open Table program, and I do get specific like Visa Signature or Visa Infinite dining program there, but this seems to be kind of a more selective program. But presumably if you use the card at these restaurants that are part of this program, then you get that money. Now, it does seem like the list is kind of limited. It's definitely focusing on larger cities. Like there's a couple examples in Miami, Chicago, Atlanta, Los Angeles. There's one in Nashville, one in San Francisco, Philadelphia, Phoenix, New York City, Houston. So think big cities. So maybe if you're traveling to a big city, maybe twice in a year, this could work for you. Otherwise, maybe not, right? So it seems like the theory here is more on lifestyle, more on experiences, more on how can this card make your day-to-day life better through more spending, right? So there's a lot of different things to think about too, but I also wanted to talk about the fact that with this card, you also get access to IHG Platinum Elite status. Now that is their second highest status tier, and you get that just from having the card, right? Which is solid. So let's take a look at what you get. So first of all, with Platinum Elite, you get access to exclusive discounts on reward nights, room upgrades. So complimentary room upgrades can, subject to availability. They get a welcome amenity, early check-in, late checkout, and stuff like that. So that's kind of nice. Now, if you spend $75,000 a year, you get a host of benefits that includes IHG Diamond status, and that gets you possible access to upgrades to suites and things like that, which can be super helpful. Now, some of the other things that you have to spend in order to get access to. So once you spend that $75,000, some of the other benefits in addition to the Diamond Elite status with IHG, you get a $500 Southwest Airlines credit, and that is essentially basically wide open. It just seems like Southwest charges will apply to this. Now you also get A-list status with Southwest Airlines. Now this is their status, but it's their lower level status. They have A-list and A-list preferred, and so you're kind of giving up. For $75,000, you think you get the top one, but apparently not. And then you also get $250 in statement credits after you spend $750,000 or $75,000, and this is through shops at Chase. Now there isn't really a lot of good shops there currently, so I don't really see that being much of a benefit. But now, of course, because it's a Chase Visa Infinite card, you also get access to, return protection, extended warranties, travel protections like crazy. They're going to take care of you if you use this card. Now, the one thing I did want to talk about is, whether or not this makes sense to get for, whether or not this makes sense for your wallet. So $795, you do have to work to get some value, but some of the ones that are easier to get would probably be the StubHub credit, the travel credit, obviously. So that's going to be, close to $600 right there. So you're almost to $795. So maybe if you go to, say, one of those dining places and you use that to get most of your stay covered, and that was going to be for like celebrating a birthday or an anniversary or something like that, then this card can kind of make sense. Throw in some of the Lyft credits, maybe the DoorDash credits, and it's kind of making sense. Now, let's take a look at the lounge access too, because I want to make sure I talk about that, because lounge access is pretty wide open. You have access to Priority Pass as well as the Chase Sapphire lounges. And so I actually haven't been to one yet. I'm going to one in Philadelphia later this year, or actually early next month. And so I'm going to kind of get a feel for how that is. It seems like some of the lounges that are kind of co-branded with other airlines may not be as accessible, but it seems like, we'll see how that works, and I'll tell you guys more about that later. But their lounge access program is kind of expanding. They don't have as many as, say, American Express, but they definitely have more than Capital One, and so that is also important to think about. Now, let's take a look at the, actually, before we go there, I want to talk about what happens if you're an existing card holder. So if you're an existing card holder, starting June 23rd, you have access to points boost on Chase Travel, and essentially that's it, right? So you don't actually get access to the multipliers until October 26th of this year, and then that's when that's when the coupons will take in effect, all those sorts of things, which is kind of frustrating because I know that American Express, whenever they unleash their new cards, you get access to those new benefits immediately. So when the gold card happened, people actually went and got Dunkin' Donuts credits immediately, Resi credits immediately. It was nice to pay the old fee but get the new benefits. This does not appear to be that, or at least you won't get credit for the first half of the year, right? So, because June 23rd, when this changes actually roll out, is in June, the first 6 months of the year. Presumably, you would be able to actually, if you got the card on June 23rd, you could get some of those biannual credits in June and then be eligible for some more in July. But if you're a current card holder, that's not going to be the case for you because you won't have those benefits until until October. And so you're going to have to really kind of plan towards the end of October and realistically November, December when you're going to use those benefits that are every 6 months. So that's interesting. It's interesting how they're rolling it out. I don't know. There's some good things, there's some bad things about this card. I do want to talk about the Chase Sapphire business card. A lot of the bones are very similar, so the multipliers are going to be very similar. The fees, very similar. The lounge access, very similar. However, some of the credits are a little bit differently, right? So you also get, there's a $400 annual ZipRecruiter credit. That's $250 in biannual credits. And then you also get, there was a $200 annual Google Workspace credit, and then a $100 giftcards.com credit, which is two $50 biannual credits. But otherwise, things are pretty much very similar. So anyway, that's kind of the news that's happening right now. I just want to get this out to you so we could talk about it. I'm sure you guys have thoughts. Let me know in the description below, and then, or in the comment section below, rather. But anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and we will definitely unpack this as time progresses. But I just wanted to get kind of the hard news out there. Have a great day. Bye.